Hello and welcome to an extra special Yuletide episode of Racing Game Reviews. Now, I'm not going to make any secret of the fact that because of all this snow, I've been feeling rather ill lately. But I really wanted to squeeze this last one in before the year ends. Anyway, the license of our next game began in 95 and 97 when Bizarre Creations made F1 97. Sure, there were bad ones, but overall the franchise was good. That is until EA got their teeth into it, and of course Sony had a monopoly all over the PlayStation. In short, the games just got lost in the pack, and there hasn't been an F1 game on the PC for 7 years. But eventually the waiting seems to have paid off because Codemasters are back with F1 2010. But did the Studio Birmingham team deliver? Well, it's certainly quite an ominous package. It wasn't long before I was playing the hell out of that thing. This is the conference at the beginning of the game.
Welcome to Formula One. You must be looking forward to getting your first season underway. Could you please give us a few details for those watching at home?
Throughout the game there is a lot of interaction with the media. In particular at the beginning, when they wish to know all the administrative stuff such as your name, where you live, and of course the difficulty, how many seasons you wish to last, and which team you drive for, which is influenced by how many seasons you pick. Allow me to explain. For example, picking a 3-season career gives you nearly all of the midfield to backmarking teams. Picking a 7th-season team means you start at one of the 3 new teams, who are the slowest of the lot. Meaning if you want to drive for the Ferrari, McLaren and Red Bull, you have to work your way up. There's also the agent who keeps you up to date on what's going on, but she's really boring, so let's not focus on her. Gameplay is roughly what you'd expect from an F1 game. Good graphics, etc., but there are a few things they have added in. I really should have tyres can
puncture on the front right, box the tyres, right back on low revs.
What? I knew I shouldn't have put the tyre stuff on. Of course, the ensuing rush forces you into the pits, where... Right, I'm going in now. Okay, I think the pit's doing it, so...
Try applying brakes a bit earlier.
Oh, sorry.
Don't forget to turn the limiter off.
I didn't. Oh, I forgot about that. Nowhere to go. And eventually... Oh, that's fucking brilliant. Okay, I'm just gonna restart that race. That was terrible. I'm really sorry, everyone. So yes, it may seem pretty bad, but these things, you get better to deal with them with time and experience. Besides, it's no different to what the real F1 drivers have to deal with. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Well, there are a few handy things like traction control you can use, you know. One of the areas where the game excels particularly are the rain visuals. They may look slightly pixelated when driving, but overall they are fantastic and really sharp in the replays. Which would also be good if you could save them. The game is also complemented by a modern soundtrack with lots of licensed music from the likes of Pendulum, Kasabian, those kinds of bands. Which, although maybe not to everyone's liking, fits the game fairly well. But there's not just a campaign to play, oh no. In addition, there is time trial where you can post laps on any of the 19 circuits throughout the F1 calendar and see how they stack up in the world rankings. Remember when I said in other episodes of Racing Game Reviews that sometimes with some games the steering wheel just doesn't work? Well, in this game it's the opposite. F1 2010 only seems to want to go with the steering wheel. My only disappointment is that for some reason the force feedback doesn't seem to work with my machine, but you still can adjust the wheel so that it will turn the car more quickly, which is a real help. One of my only real major problems with this game is that, particularly in time trial, whenever you go off the track, even minorly, the lap is invalidated, which can be really frustrating. But if you don't fancy doing precise laps all the time, there's always multiplayer, where you can race against other players in real time. The two major problems with online, however, are this. A, the game uses Windows Live, which is ridiculously complicated to use, and is barely worth the effort. And secondly, B, half the time the drivers you encounter online are total douches, who just crash into you at every opportunity. And if this happens, you'll usually get blamed by the stewards for an accident that wasn't your fault. Come to think of it, sometimes the stewards in this game can be grossly unfair. The only thing I can liken them to are my teachers from school. Thankfully though, there is now an option where you can go into proper matches that are longer than 3 laps. Plus you can build up a friends list of people who you can rely upon and invite to matches. So it's good for the serious player and the casual player alike, though the casual guy usually gets away with it, which kind of pisses me off. Another thing that annoys me is sometimes when the physics seem to fail out on you. I mean, I've only flipped once in the whole game, and that was at Monderzone multiplayer, when I was racing against some idiots. Oh no, that doesn't usually happen. At least in single player, if you crash, you can use the flashback option, something they carried over from Race Driver Grid. What this basically allows you to do is to rewind the time in the game to the point where you were on a point of the circuit that can only rewind back to a certain point where you were before the crash and where you were safe. And then you start again from that point. You only get a maximum of 4 though, which kinda sucks, because if you're like me, you're bound to make loads of mistakes. At the end of every race, if you're playing offline and in single player, you get a list telling you how great you and your team are. But if you go online, you'll realise without all those precious driving aids, you're just not quite the driver you are in campaign. A major thing that really annoys me about this game are there are loads of bugs. I mean, look at this. How could the game testers have not missed that? And I'm not just talking about on track too. 2 times before Codemasters released the patch for this game, I lost all of my game data. That's twice. All because my data was corrupt. This isn't happening anymore, thankfully, but it was really frustrating when it was happening. Well, anyway, to sum up, for a lot of people, and well, actually, maybe just probably for me, F1 2010 has proved a promising start. Codemasters has shown they can make a decent racing game with online support. What's more, this is not the last in the series either. Yes, Codemasters plans to release 2011 and probably 2012. And they better not be full of bugs too, otherwise I'm throwing in the towel. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next year. The best, everyone.